Yeah, I'm gonna kick it off to Nick. This is actually kind of ironic because Nick, the pig, came last in the race, but now is starting off this whole show first, caked in mud, stumbled across the finish line. But here from North Carolina, um, I'm just gonna give this over to Nick. You math nerd, go for it. And then up next also is Jonathan, and on deck is Melody.
Hi everyone, I'm Nick from North Carolina. Can y'all hear me? Yes. Okay, great. Cool. Robin, but now that's not the case. And I get to set expectations. So without further ado, I'm gonna get started. So what I have to share with everybody is an essay that I wrote about my experience with changes in my cognitive ability over the past year due to a neurological disorder that I have. Right? I can't picture my grandfather's face anymore, but I can remember being in his motorboat on the lake in Augusta, or maybe it was in Douglas. My skin remembers this feeling of the sun in my hands, the rocking of the boat, and my nose, the smell of the earthworms we would use as fish bait. I can remember that he only had crunchy peanut butter because I could still feel the texture in my mouth. It remembers that the taste of the milk that he had tasted weird to me as a kid, and I thought it was because it was too warm, and so every other time I visited, he would put a few glasses in the freezer so the milk would be extra cold when I drank it. And when I learned that milk just tastes different in different places because it's from different cows that eat different things, I never told him because I liked that he put those glasses in the freezer for me every time. My tongue remembers the taste of his omelets with cheese and ham. They tasted like white trash seasoned with salt and pepper, and my college-educated self was never able to recreate it. I can remember that he will always know something I never could. I don't remember when the last time I saw him was. Maybe it was 2 years ago, maybe it was 3. Last May, I began developing a host of neurological symptoms, likely caused by a Chiari malformation in my skull. 1 year, a surgery, and several prescriptions later, I'm very much alive, but I'm experienced a dramatic shift in my memory and cognitive processes. I don't remember most things with my head anymore. Where once I had a sharp clarity, precision, and speed, now I have a constant fog. I've had to become obsessive about lists and writing things down, tasks, medications, what organizations and roles I'm currently committed to, what new idea I have that I don't want to lose. Everything else I remember with my body. I don't remember the surgery, but I can feel the scar on the back of my head and taste the hospital pudding. My stomach can still remember how hungry I was, so I remember that I was on a liquid diet for a day or so before they let me try swallowing food again. Maybe it's the Chiari, maybe it's the pandemic, or maybe it's just the amitriptyline. In the 50s and 60s, neuroscientist Roger Sperry conducted a number of experiments that show that the two hemispheres of the brain are bridged by a cord of neural fibers called the corpus callosum, and that if you sever that bridge, the two hemispheres become disconnected. Scientists have found ways to speak to the two severed hemispheres separately and show that they act independently. For example, talking to the right ear speaks to the left hemisphere, which controls the right hand, while showing images only to the left eye shows it to the right hemisphere, which controls the left hand. People who have a split brain typically don't outwardly show their neurodivergence. Like the quantum entanglement Einstein, Podolsky, and Rosen theorized decades prior, the two hemispheres are forever linked, in the same way that two particles, once quantumly linked, can still interact with each other no matter the distance apart. They are intricately connected in ways we still don't understand, but still separate. To say that they are only two halves to a whole would be in disservice to their individual wholeness. Sometimes now I feel like I'm just one hemisphere of the brain severed from the other. I'm supposed to be seeing something with my left eye, but my right hand doesn't know what to do. I know that I can no longer run any distance, let alone the 5Ks I used to, and I know I can no longer work 40-hour weeks, let alone the 80 I used to. But was that really loss? In an Instagram post recently, deaf model and artist Chella Man posited that he never had hearing loss, rather a deaf gain. Everyone has a biological filter that protects the brain from toxins and other dangerous particles that may have entered the bloodstream. Sometimes the filter is too strict, so medications that a person needs can't pass through it. The classic example is dopamine, a neurotransmitter that is essential in treating Parkinson's and other conditions. The workaround is to dose someone with L-DOPA, dopamine's more agile precursor, and have it pass through the blood-brain barrier and let it change into dopamine once it gets to the other side. I don't remember most things in my head anymore, but I remember them in my chest, in my skin, in my blood, as my heart pushes it through my body. My memories may be caught in the blood-brain barrier, but I still feel the things they left behind. Like L-DOPA and dopamine, the way I remember, the way I know has changed, catalyzed. Psychologists and performers have long known of embodied knowledge. While Roger Sperry was studying split brain across the world, French philosopher Maurice Jean-Jacques Merleau-Ponty was challenging the Cartesian understanding of a split body and mind. Unlike Descartes, Merleau-Ponty conceptualized humans as fully embodied beings, where knowledge was just as much of the body as the mind. We see this in how riding a bike or touch typing, once learned, feels innate. Contemporary Japanese scholar Shogo mind-body split reduces embodied knowledge to mere reflexes, when in reality, we are so much more. When I'm leaving the bathroom after my shower this morning, I can't remember if I just flossed my teeth, but I can feel the lingering tug on my gums, so I know I did. I can't remember if I've already put lotion on, so I do it again. I can't remember saying I love you too for the first time, but I can still feel the lingering tug on my heart whenever someone says it from Pensacola, so I know it to be true. Like a red string stitched there, entangled, I can't rip it out or unthread it, even if I wanted to. In Plato's Symposium, Aristophanes gives a speech positing that the natural state of humanity was to be conjoined, to have 2 faces, 4 arms, and 4 legs. But the gods feared our power and split us in 2. Contemporary rock musical Hedwig and the Angry Inch calls this tale the origin of love. Love to both the titular Hedwig and Aristophanes represents 2 beings entangled quantumly, 2 beings split down the corpus callosum, independent but forever linked. I don't know if I was ever meant to be attached at the waist to someone else, but I do know that I was created already entangled in a web of people beyond my understanding. I know it in the way that when I wake up at 4 a.m. and struggle to go back to sleep, only to have someone close to me tell me the next morning that they too woke up sick at 4 a.m. and struggled to go back to sleep. Maybe my feeling of being severed right now is not due to my neurology, but from not accepting it more. Plato's allegory of the cave asks a question. If someone spent their whole life chained to a wall in darkness, only seeing shadows cast by fire, would they not think that that was all there was to reality? How can we know that we are not simply doing the same? Perhaps what was severed from me was not the other half of myself, but me from the chains to the wall in the cave, and I'm just starting to understand what the world beyond the shadows is. What if all I lost was the need to watch the shadows instead of listening to the rest of myself, of the world? Feminist scholars quickly noted that embodied knowledge had larger ramifications than just theory. When bodies are different along gender, race, and disability, they all produce knowledge in different ways. It began a validation that lived experiences are just as much a part of knowledge as the Western scientific method. I can no longer do a lot of things. I need to sleep for 9 to 10 hours a night, which doesn't work out nearly as nicely as it sounds. My productivity at work has gotten worse, but maybe that was never the point. Maybe I was supposed to prioritize rest and spend my time making art, writing when the inspiration strikes, asking questions, loving others, and being loved. I just need to listen to what my body is saying to me more and listen less to the expectations that I have learned in my head. I don't remember the words to this essay, so I'm reading it off my screen. And a week from now, the memory of saying it will be a hazy blur. This moment is not just a moment. It's another opportunity for connection, for entanglement. I hope that after the memory of this day is blurred away, I can still feel the feeling of being digitally held across hundreds of miles, the feeling of my heart opening itself so new red threads can be stitched into it. And when I want to remember this, I can just feel for the tug again, and I will know it too to be true. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, that closing, like talking about the red strings, you're about to make me cry. It's like literally the first person. But yes, please like snap like while you're muted and also squeak for Nick. That was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Yeah, and I have the honor of introducing our next performer. This person is a rooster. And so, like, as you know, like, roosters are often associated with, like, the crowing in the morning and, like, waking you up. Well, this person is known for his wide range of talents. And just a fun fact, he has a video on YouTube that it's called Do You Want to Be My Girlfriend? Which is, like, a parody of, what's that Frozen song? Do you want to
You want to
build a snowman. Yeah, and it has over 1 million views. So I will help and drop the link down in the chat later on. You guys can check it out. So Jonathon is going now, but up next we have Meloddy. Actually, up next we're going to try to fit in Robin, and then Meloddy is on deck. So right now I want you all to squeak and put your paws together for Jonathon.
Hello. So usually, like, a lot of folks know me to do beatboxing, and so not doing that this time simply because as I've been trying to learn more things and take more time, I want to learn about myself and my body. And so with that, it's like, well, how do I sing and how do I use my instrument as a body? I did a cappella, so like I'm fully aware that, you know, I can make sounds that are decent, but how do I make like semi more decent sounds? And I just need to get better. And so this is, I started taking vocal lessons this year, and this is like my first vocal performance after lessons. And I'm trying to also learn more jazz piano. So I'm trying to jazz up Moon River, and we'll see how this goes. But for validity that I can beatbox. So. But we're not doing that. I'll get started. Can you all hear the piano, by the way? Yeah? Okay. Moon River, wider than a mile, I'm crossing you in style someday. Old dream maker, you heartbreaker, wherever you're going, I'm going your way. Two drifters off to see the world. There's such a lot of world to see. Sorry, I need to turn the piano up because I can't hear it. We're after the same rainbows, waiting round the bend, my huckleberry friend. River and me. Two drifters off to see the world. There's such a lot of world to see. We're after the same rainbows and waiting round the bend, my huckleberry friend. River and me. Thank you.
Never fails to impress, like literally every time. And you did tease everyone with that beatbox. So I don't know if you have anything on the spot right now, but if you
I can do something on the spot. Actually, does someone want to type in a song and we'll see if I can cover it? I don't know if I like what popular music. Dua Lipa. I can do it again. So yeah, there's that.
I love that you put the squeaks in there. I feel so seen. Thank you so much for doing that on the spot, Jonathan. Thank you so much. Next up, I have, we're gonna go back to Robin. I think she got her audio to work. So back to the Ox, Year of the Ox. Robin, if you just wanna take over now.
Yep, give me 1 second. I'm gonna test this one more time because if it doesn't work this time, guys, I'm just gonna sit quietly in the background, I promise.
Sure. I'll give a visual.
I just picked something really chill and I haven't sung in public in a while, so please bear with me. For the abrupt cutoff, but yeah.
Yay! I'm so glad you got your audio to work, because if it didn't, then, you know, none of us would have experienced this. And I don't know if you're watching the comments, but, you know, everybody is just like, whoa.
I'm gonna follow up. I'm gonna follow up.
Yeah,
read these
so I
comments
mean,
now.
I was saying that I'm going to start requesting songs during work hours now because like we work
Oh my
together.
God.
But yeah, no, I have access, so that's a perk of working at API
Oh my
Vote,
God.
obviously. So thank you so much for sharing with us, Robin. Okay, next
Thank you, guys.
person is born in the year of the rabbit. And so year of the rabbit, it's like funny because my mom is born in the year of the rabbit. I respect my mom so much. I'm like, I respect her and I'm scared of her because she has this like energy. Like rabbits just like to get shit done. You know, they're very like, they're very smart. Like the rabbit was like hopping around and like, you know, the race happened like next to a river and it like went on a log and then it used the log as a little boat, you know, and it came in fourth. And so I think that's super rad. And so, yeah, our next person is Meloddy. Meloddy doesn't have the same, like, you know, immigrant mother energy as my mom. She takes that rabbit energy and puts it into her organizing, puts it into her work. Love to see it. And so, yeah, but just for reference, up next is Hasan, and then on deck is Miru. But right now, I want you all to squeak and put your paws together for Meloddy.
Okay, thank you so much. Those are some tough acts to follow. I like to joke that my parents named me Meloddy to make up for the musical talent I don't have, so I will not be singing tonight. But I have 2 poems to share with you all. So I'm sure many of you can relate, but I'm a college student right now, and I've had to move back in with my parents. And I've just been kind of grappling with this concept of what home is, both as a physical space and as a feeling. And so I wrote 2 poems about it. And the first one is called Memories of Home. 1. Mama wonders out loud what her life would be like if she had not come to this country, had not left her parents across the sea. 2. It appears at the slightest hum of familiarity where you know how to say my name, even though we've never met. The correct way to pronounce it is with a smile. 3. I was the most popular kid in kindergarten because of how much I cried. 4. American Airlines charges me $100 for an overweight suitcase. I call my mama for advice. She says, just come home. 5. I imagine home is a brilliant shade of tangerine, of earth and California super blooms I have never seen. 7. Skipping over 6 and memories I have since forgotten belong to me. Okay. And then the next one is called she, her, hers, as in the pronouns with the dashes in between. Tiger is not a fierce enough adjective to describe her expectations. There she is, in the reflection of my full glass at the dining room table, a full glass that is never full enough for her. She, a master planner of demands that might not work out, but still must happen. She, has no regard for my sanity, lost sleep, or the limits of my humanity. These days she has assigned me her toughest contradiction yet, the need to slow down and stay home while desperately wanting me to go out and become somebody. I have been chasing her standards for so long that I lost home somewhere along the way. Perhaps my home is trapped inside her mind of a house. Home has become everywhere she is not. She has taken over my ideology, replacing it with such ridicule. DC is not New York enough. New York is not Indiana enough. Indiana is not enough. Now I really have no answer to where are you from? The answer is 10 different things and none of the above. She fed me abstractions of the American dream, always has me chasing the next big thing because others are asking her what my next big thing is, because what will I be if I do not accomplish some big thing? Sometimes I wonder if I have any dreams or if these are all hers. I do not like her, but she is still beautiful. Okay. And that it's intentionally misleading towards kind of the tiger mom stereotype, but it's actually kind of like a letter to my own imposter syndrome and kind of the expectations I set on myself.
Oh my goodness, I am just like, I'm holding my breath. That was Meloddy, that was so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And please share your, you know, like if you have stuff that you want us to follow, just drop your social in the chat. Which again, thank you for really bringing that to us. We were all, I think, in awe. I think I can safely say. I'm gonna welcome Hasan to the screen. Hasan is a dragon, and there's a short tale around that. You know why the dragon didn't win? It's because the dragon saw a fucking village on fire and saved it out by blowing on it, and also it saved the rabbit before it, which was Meloddy. So and that's why it came later than the rabbit, Meloddy. So you might not know it, but Hasan's the reason why Meloddy is before Hasan. Anyway, let's welcome to the stage, the call, this poet who writes about sunsets, who is just a peace advocate. I'm gonna turn it over to you, and on deck, next is me, and on deck is Megan.
Hello. Can people hear me? Yay, great. So I'm gonna read you one poem. Hello, Nick. I'm gonna read you one poem. I have been locked in this really fun project of watching the sunrise and the sunset, taking a photo of it, and then having the sunrise or sunset speak a poem. And so that's what I'm going to be sharing. One of these is a sunrise that I experienced, and it happened at a time that I was personally really loving the idea of what rising meant. So this one is called You Were Already There. Aha, yes. The twirl of your eyes makes my eyes shot go flirt with the 500 ways that we could both live in a cloud, stealing the low lines of sun rays cut into ladders, where the places where we dance to your rise, moving at the speed of a handhold and a hand pause, motioning for a second of silence, motioning for a moment of vibrance, and motioning my whole soul into an air where your life rises higher than light without losing the low blues of your trousers. And all of it is making me say, yeah, you can wear me down with your power and shower me with every fall leaf color that has ever been seen across several millennia of dreams. And I wonder then, when you rise, if you make me rise, or maybe you just jumped and caught the 8 train up, or maybe it was me rising at the start of it, or maybe a rise just took us both with it, clinging our hearts to its yellow as it slowly fills up a planet that holds living lives rising in a balance of trillions, and the spirits in trilenia rising with them, making every generation bloom to the tune of a rising, beating, breathing, leaping that would sound like a scream that could stop everyone to watch you, if a scream was only the sound of a body rising and rising and rising and rising until you knew from the silence that there's a power devouring us all in a rise that lights up our entire core to the brilliance that others write about us, to see us in a worth we never knew agreed with us while we speed around, trying to see ourselves rising somewhere in this oblivion, making suns out of our eyes so the chains will all just melt and make a fire that takes the souls out of our silks and spill it upward against gravity in a surge of molten color, to discover that we rise up, especially in the moments when we most forget our own rise, because it's easier to watch another than to remember ourselves. The truth is, my love, you watch me rise like you yearn for a dream. But don't forget that in order to see me, you were already there. That's that.
I think we're all like collectively once again just recovering. And I don't know if you're watching the comments, but there are a lot of folks saying that you have the perfect like ambiance lighting. So thank you for blessing us with, you know, like a visual component as well. Thank you so much. Okay, so up next we actually have our first rat of the evening, and that rat is my co-host Miru. So yeah, Miru and I actually, just like a quick little story. We were on a different like open mic. It was the New Eurekans Poets Cafe open mic, and so I was like, we were just like watching it. And I had my video on, and then the MC like calls me out and unmutes my video because someone called me on the end. They're like, Julie, are you on the phone? And unmutes me, and I was like, oh, she would just unmute me. And I didn't know Miru was there, but she like texted me right after. She was like, Julie, I cannot believe that just happened. And so we started talking about poetry, and then like she was like, we should do one. And I was like, I was thinking the same thing. And so yeah, that's how our Gemini like rat brains are connected. But yeah, I just want to introduce Miru, but then also say that up next is Megan, and on deck is Oni. But for right now, put your paws together for Miru.
Thanks, Julie. That was so lovely. I wrote this yesterday at 8:44 p.m., so it's pretty fresh. It's called On Rest. I feel myself tentatively testing the boundaries of rest, having grown up feeling its lack because the women who ran my home hustled the shit out of life. A moment of rest often feels like a high. Here I am luxuriating in my time. Look at these pearls of space I've made, how they are an infinite, abundant necklace, and look how they pile up, and as they are strung together by my resistance of gossamer, look how when the thread snaps, the beads of time burst, tumble, pop, help. The room is no longer pink, but darkness, the kind that only the back of my eyelids can provide, as I feel the weight of rest press me in. This is withdrawal from productivity. See how it presses against my cheek, my teeth, armpits, any open pore. Listen how the pearls clink together like chimes. Ping, alert, present, hello, what's up? Until those two become a kind of white noise. I drift in that liminal space as my head pounds, let it go, and when I open my mouth to let it out, of course the pearls come tumbling in, of course they fill my body. I feel suffocated until I realize I've choked on a spiral, not pearls. In fact, the beads are now knocking at my lips before entering. Hey, is now a good time? Or hey, I come bearing memes for you to peruse and respond to at your leisure. Or I offer you this thought to soak in, take in its fragrance. Peonies, your favorite, and the bubbles actually taste like delight. I can open my eyes and the sun pours in through paper blinds so that my face bathes in a misty glow dusted by the sun. And as I brush my fingers across the pearls, they glimmer in the soft light. And it's like a million tinkly giggles held back ever so slightly as if to avoid fully awakening me. Tingles like a lullaby if I listen close. It's like a million if I listen close, I can hear 3, 4 more part harmony. The bass line says, close your eyes and sway here for a while. I can be your place of slumber. The alto whispers, hum with me. Wash yourself when your fingers start to feel sticky, even with the thinnest layers of, shouldn't I be fine by now? And believe that when you emerge from rest, you won't wake up alone. The tenor tosses me a ball of yarn and says, unravel this yarn and do whatever the fuck you want with it. Make a clown out of productivity culture and set a strict schedule on how fast you'll spin this twine to gold, and then miss every fake deadline you've set for yourself and revel in it. Soprano's voice has been muted this whole time, but when I turn my attention to them, they immediately perk up, tits and all, and delighted, they belt an aria that makes me rise to my feet and move my hips in all the right ways. As I turn to soprano in awe, they grin, open their arms, and say, rest is joy. It is getting up and moving when the music so compels you. It is using the yeast in the air to bake bread. It is seeing a glimmer of truth and chasing it to the Emerald City. It is Kansas. It is do as you dream, as you like, as much as you like to dream. Sing with me. Breathless, I notice how grounded I suddenly am after keeping myself afloat for so long. The musty scent of the earth fills my lungs. I close my eyes, and when I open them, again I see the pearls burrowing into the depths of the land. Some wave, some ignore me completely, some communicate for harvest later, or for hibernation, or squirrel to find and crack, or it's just warmer and wetter down there, and just because. And of course, others totally don't care about me. And I love that about them. All my rests sharing with me their purposes, what brings them peace. And me, I love to watch, to sample the abundance, to feel scarce and then look around and know plenty, but still be totally fine with not feeling like enough at all. Recognizing some emptiness can have the effect of making me feel fuller, knowing that this is just more of myself. I romanticize my rest because I cannot build upon the models I had growing up. And dreamy as it sounds, it also is very much real, because resting a racing mind is just that, right? Creating a dream so irresistible, I'll stop running. They say that about revolution, right? Make it irresistible, the sustainable version of living and resting, a place of plenty while knowing the scars of scarcity, right? Right? And this is to all of you here. What will we create for our own reality here? I've harvested some pearls of rest for us to share in. Take as many as often as needed. Pop a few into a boba liberal's milk tea. Use it as an anal bead or to play mancala. Sprinkle on a cupcake glass eyeball. Something tart to suck on. Here, even when your physical body cannot rest, join me in a dream. Now, before, and later. When we wipe our brows and let out a deep sigh, let us stretch the rest of our realities. Let us feel our bodies deeply as we find for ourselves that holy place of rest.
Oh my gosh, wow. Honestly, like 10 minutes before this, she was like, yeah, I don't really know what I'm gonna read. And then she comes out with this, right? And like, I feel like this whole work week has made my soul like slowly leave my body, and I feel like just listening to this poem has just like shoved my soul back into my party. You know, I'm ready to rest, I'm ready to bake bread, I'm ready to like dance and like not just lay there, you know, like, and just like try to like hype myself up for the next work day. So thank you so much for sharing that. I think like pearls of rest is such like wonderful imagery. I'm gonna think about that for a really long time. But yeah, after Miru, actually up next we have another rat. So I'm really glad to have two rats in a row. But oh, one thing, I'm so sorry, y'all. One thing that I realized, I'm a horrible like MC. I forgot that after every single person, we were gonna ask you to like drop your socials and like ask where we can find you, and I saw that Miru kind of like said it, but I totally forgot about it. So everyone who has already gone, please drop your socials in the chat. Also, you can post it in the event page, and then I guess like starting now, I'm gonna try to be better now. Miru, where can we find you?
You can follow me on Instagram. I'll drop that.
Yeah, okay, yeah, drop it in the box. Awesome. So as I was saying, we have another rat coming up. This rat I met in college. Actually, it was like a random, like we were random roommates freshman year. And you know, like, I don't know if any of y'all had this like experience, but when I first saw her, I was like, we're not gonna get along. She's too happy. Like my emo self was like, she's too happy, we're not gonna get along. Like, I just wanna be in my fields and she's too happy. And then look at us, like over 6 years later, you know, still kind of like, she's also a rat Gemini, like Gemini rat brain. And we are connected, you know, on a spiritual level. So I would like to introduce one of my best friends, Megan Liu, but also just for your reference, up next is Oni, and then we're gonna do like a 7-minute intermission after that. So put your paws together for Megan.
Thank you, Julie. Wow. So I'm going to be playing the ukulele and singing Count on Me by Bruno Mars. Just a couple verses. I don't actually know all of the lyrics, so just the first couple of verses. And yeah, this is just an ode to all the friends, you all know who you are, who have really been here for me during my hard times, during quarantine, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, without further ado, here we go. If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, travels to find you. If you ever find yourself stuck in the dark and you can't see, well, I'll be the light to guide you. Find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know that when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do. Oh. And that's all. Thank you all.
Oh my gosh, that was so lovely. I just am taking back in time, but also I'm right here, my body. Wow, thank you so much for that. Definitely, I don't know if you're like playing, you're doing that online. If you are, we would love to see your stuff in the chat. Just drop it in there. I want to follow, I want to listen to that all day long. And wow, we are on a roll. We just had 2 rats in a row, and that's what we call a mischief. In case you didn't know, a mischief is the plural for like describing a bunch of rats, like a grumble of puppies or a flock of birds. It's a mischief of rats. So we're just gonna keep on with it. We're gonna keep on with the mischief, but we are gonna end this section with an ox, back to the ox. So Oni, who is one of my favorite humans in the world, a nerd, a writer, a teacher, a published poet from freaking Florida, Oni likes their OJ pulpy, so you know they're a real one. I'm just so excited to hear what you have to say with us, share with us, and after this, we're going to be taking a brief intermission. All right, Oni, I'm going to toss it to you.
Wow, thank you, Miru. Yeah, I love these intros, by the way. I feel like they're just really great, a slice of life type of thing. But yeah, so I'm gonna share with you a couple of poems. This first poem is called Comb, and it's dedicated to my grandma. Strawberry hair detangler in one hand, a big tooth comb in the other. Nanai rakes the comb through my hair. I wince with pain. The same hands that stir champorado, mold bits of soap or popcorn into little balls, scrubs laundry with such vigor you thought she was scrubbing away original sin. Her hands yanked and caressed. Nanai would tuck a ribbon in my hair. I felt like a wrapped present, clean, shiny, and smart. Combs, foam, and home in a flurry of bodies. At our 2019 family reunion, my tita delicately proffered a brown, maroon, tortoise shell comb. Gleaming and compact, nestled in my nanai's hands, the comb quivered. Mama, mama, nanai wailed. Her knobby fingers gripped the comb tightly. This comb had tasted regal scalps, buried itself in locks of hair that smelled of dial soap and coconut oil. This comb was my great-grandmother's inheritance. As the light danced upon its curved handle, I could see Nanai's reflection, small, but not diminutive, peering with hopeful eyes, to rest once more in her mother's lap. And yeah, that's my first poem. I will also share another, because you know, why not? I love this open mic online space because I love going to open mics and I've been missing just sharing my poetry. Okay, so this one is called Histories. They tell you that histories belong in textbooks, penned by men who only know my country by wars. The Spanish-American War, the Philippine-American War, World War I and II, Filipinos were there. They fought, they lost. I possess a body that is a warring ground, for men to stare, for women to envy, for people to consume. I shall return, said MacArthur. But when you say this, you mean you took something that was not yours, knowingly. Filipinas have been taken. Our bodies are not souvenirs or war trophies. I am my grandmother, my mother, my tita, my ate, my niece. I belong to a lineage of small yet immovable women. I have made a home in my body. Loved, I have the power to love. Protected, I have the power to protect. My history is non-linear, adaptive, co-created, but most of all, it's fucking mine. And yeah, that's my phone. Thank you for listening.
If the fuck is yours, oh my gosh, Oni. I feel like we are in this space with you in mountains together, just like, oh, don't move. You said you're immovable. You're moving all of us all around though. And that's how I feel about everybody here. We're gonna go into a brief intermission, and I just also, Oni, if you have people to follow you, drop your stuff in the chat. It's that way for me. I don't know if it's that way for other people. Yeah, we're gonna take like 7 minutes. We're gonna put up the mouse again, and we have some questions for y'all to interact with in the chat. Just to get to know each other, keep it friendly, keep it light or heavy, deep, whatever you want. This space is all of ours to share. So yeah. So we'll be back in, I don't know. Yeah, we'll be back. We'll back soon. Do we want to take 5 or 7, Julie?
We'll do people. We'll do 7 minutes for now, and then if I see like most folks are like here at their seats after maybe like 5-6 minutes, and we can just like start a little earlier. But yeah, if you all want to like get up now and like stretch or like go use the bathroom, get something to eat, get something to drink, now is a good time to do that. And if you're staying with us for these 7 minutes, once again, we will be putting questions up on the screen so you all can get to know each other and interact in the chat. So see you all in like 6 to 7 minutes.
And up next after the intermission is going to be Val, and then on deck will be Julie. So that's a little bit taste of what's coming. Our other MC and our incredible Val. So, some Ohio representation. But you'll hear more about that later. We are going to start our second round of mischief after a short announcement from Julie, I think.
Sorry, let me figure out how to go back because I'm having issues. Hold on. 1 minute. Do you guys still see my screen or no? I'm confused.
Yeah, we see it.
Guys, I found it, okay? The video tab was covering it, so I could not find it, sorry. Okay, apologies for the hiccups. Miru, I have no idea what you were saying.
Good, don't listen to me.
But yes, thank you for plugging. We do have an announcement before we get back to our programming. So Chris, are you here? Chris Sanders? Chris is here. Okay, so just a real quick announcement. I just also want to like intro. I'm really glad you're here. Chris is like a poet that like went to my alma mater, which is the Ohio State University. And I like saw a video of her and I was like, this is so amazing. But I think like our years didn't match up. And then one day I was just walking around in Chicago and I saw a mutual friend and then they were together and then that's how I met Chris. But anyway, Chris, you want to take it away?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I want to give it up to the hosts. Y'all are doing an amazing job. Hosting a virtual open mic is more exhausting than hosting an open mic in person. I can tell you that from experience. So yeah, I just want to give it up to our hosts and say thank you for giving me some time. The reason I wanted to talk to y'all today is I run a poetry organization based here in Chicago called Luia. It was specifically formed to center and uplift the voices of the Asian Pacific Islander diaspora and other communities of color. The reason Luya was created because we believe deeply in using poetry to bring our communities together and to build solidarity around the issues that are important to us, and to reclaim our cultures and histories. So for APAHM, we have a month of programming plan that is all virtual, and our open mic is, well, all of it is free to attend or pay what you can. We'll be having weekly workshops run by some really dope Asian Pacific American artists. We also have an open mic that folks can join in on that will be on May 13th. So if you follow us on Instagram, it's at Luya Poetry. I can type it in the chat. We also have a Twitter account, and we're also on Facebook. So just look out for announcements about details and how to join. But I like super impressed by all the talent that's here tonight, and I would really love for y'all to take part. So thanks.
Thanks so much, Chris. I'm really glad you're here. And yes, everyone, please like check it out. Their website is beautiful. I was like really taken aback at that, but definitely check out Luya. Okay, Miru.
Yeah. Oh my God. Wow. The world colliding. Speaking of Ohio, well, first a short drum roll, please, for the results of our rat race. I'll do my own drum roll. I actually don't know because all rats and mice are equally disgusting and great. So, and not enough of you voted for a critical mass for me to really have a good scientific study. So next time, bitches. Anyway, we are going to move on to our next rat, starting off our mischief. Val Bai, I'm gonna invite you up. I just hope that if any of you decide to have you have to decide to have a baby. If you want to have it, you can get it birthed by this Ohio doula, musician organizer. This gal, she made me believe in violas. So she might just change your world as well. She's not going to be doing viola today, but yeah, she's I don't know. You got to hear from herself. Anyway, Val is next, and then Julie is going to be after her, and Ridwan, you're on deck.
That was so kind. Hi everyone, I'm Val from Ohio, in Cleveland. I'm going to be playing a short song on guitar, and I've never done this before, so let's go. Hi Jandy, hi Angela. Okay. Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't tell, falling in love with you. Shall I stay? Would it be a sin if I can't tell, falling in love with you? Like a river flows gently to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things were meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too, 'cause I can't tell, falling in love with you. falling in love with you.
Oh my gosh. Voice of a freaking angel. I think we're all in love with you, Val, now. Thank you so much for sharing that with your quarantine bangs. My heart feels so touched. And we're going to move on to the next mischief with our very own Julie. Woo! She's, as she mentioned, we are fellow Gemini rats. She is the superior twin. We're not tweens. We've passed that. Artist extraordinaire. Julie, I just want to say, there are just no words to like express how grateful I am for you in helping create this. Our chaotic energies has been just like the most powerful force I've felt in such a long time. And I am just so blessed to be in your presence all the time. So without further ado, I'm gonna pass it over to you, my darling. And on deck, next is gonna be Ridwan. On deck is gonna be Tori. And also Val, if you have anywhere that you would like people to follow you, your music, anything, drop it in the chat.
Thank you for that chaotic introduction. I think it was very on brand. And so speaking of chaos, like I was actually like, I started this poem that I wanted to read for this, and then I didn't finish it because I told myself that I work well under pressure, and I was able to do that back in college, but now, you know, I laid around all day. I didn't do it. So I'm going to read something that I actually wrote for like a writing contest, but it didn't make it in, but it was really a great experience to write it. And I'll read you the quote that it was kind of based off of before I start. So yeah, here's the quote. The quote is, "Look at the way these clouds scatter after assembling, the way they assemble after scattering. The meetings and partings of people's lives repeat in turn like this as well," by someone named Jin Young. And yeah, so that kind of like made me think a lot about what is permanent, what is impermanent. Everything is impermanent. There's nothing that's like forever, you know? And so yeah, thank you for listening. As if the tremors weren't enough, the atmosphere laying thick upon your skull, a drip of sweat haunting your upper lip, but still your body only knows how to shiver, and every breath holds pregnant air and barren skies. Thick, the way you could taste the ghost of each exhale, weight of the atmosphere obscuring every inch of your body, blurring your distinctions between suffocation and safety. Where you were met with the eye of a storm, let's call him a man. The way you begged to be taken, where the calm makes a home beneath your eyelids, but little did you know the wetness permeates deep. And this is how your dream departed. Its brilliance snatched from your grasp. Here's everything you've made sense of. Its brevity echoing the divine notion of finding and being found. Chasing after this fallacy of permanence, let's call her hope. And you think to yourself, what a twisted way to use such an innocent word, as you wait to lose everything you've never had all over again. That's all I have. It's short. It was meant to be like looked at on paper, but thank you.
Oh my God. I know you're introducing the next person, but I just have to affirm you and just say that you just like knocked our souls out of our skulls, I think. Like, ooh, oh, chat. Okay, I'll give it back to you to introduce the next person. But follow, put your
oh, yeah, if you like that rat comic, I actually drew that. And so I will plug my art Instagram because I'm trying to do that more often. Thank you. Yeah, so, you know, putting back on the MC hats, up next we have another ox. So once again, someone who is an ally of the rat. Thank you so much once again for your service, letting us go first. Really appreciate that. This ox is also from Ohio, so continuing on the Ohio Midwest energy. Also a Gemini, also very chaotic, also a simp, which I don't know, like I think a lot of people have like different meanings of the word simp. Yeah, so I'll just hand it over to Ridwan, where, you know, if you want to defend it, you can. Oh, and up next is Tori, and on deck is Danielle.
Thank you for the kind introduction, Julie. We don't have to talk about simping tonight. I think we've done enough of that already. But when I was thinking of, what just happened to my Wi-Fi? Hold on a second, I just lost my piece. Give me a moment. Okay, no, I have it. Okay. Yeah, so when I was preparing for this, I was thinking about what I would share, and well, I couldn't really think of anything to like write off the spot. So I went back to like things that I've written before. You know, I use poetry as a method of reflection, and I work in government, which is right now a very frustrating space, especially in terms of what's going on with the pandemic. And I wrote something a couple months ago that like really shared a lot of, you know, the frustrations that I have working in that space, being in that space. And especially now I've been going back to that piece to kind of like process and digest what's going on right now. So it's a little bit of a rant about the privilege that I witness in that space. So bear with me as I share. I've been feeling really dumb coming home lately. So much feels numb as I think about it plainly. There's a pressure I feel from the world out there that each step I take should make me born and bear, that with each new venture and each new story, I must wrap myself around some pursuit of some aimless vision or glory. So much goes into a spirit like this, as we live life moment to moment, pursuing the mysteries of endless bliss. For as the pressure mounts, it's hard not to count all the messages and comments, the feedback and more, declaring the traits you must carry within this lore. They demand some genius, someone all-knowing and wise, to extract the truths of the world, unveil the reality of this disguise, to break down and analyze, to decompress and realize that the obvious is not so clear, that our logic and foundations aren't always so near. They go off on their tangents, explaining this bit, dissecting why someone was racist or why we chopped some bit, to tear apart our desires, declare our friends and foes liars. As they determine the directions of our futures, I truly question the intent of these abusers. The ones so pompous, holding themselves on a stage, considering the rest of us to be animals in a cage, defining our futures, writing our stories. As we live out a purpose of some unclaimed vision or glory, they're so full of shit. And if you didn't get that bit, then let me remind you of something that Gandalf the Grey once spit. Do not be too eager to deal death in judgment, for even the very wise can't see all ends. Damn, maybe our wisdom is a truth we can't seem to cleanse. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ridwan. I knew you were going to say something, either about simping or about Gandalf. Like, this man has, you know, he has patterns. But thank you so much for sharing with us. I'm actually in a writing club with Ridwan, and sometimes, you know, the prompt will be like, okay, like write this in 5 minutes. And I wrote like 2 sentences, and he already has like that whole ass poem. So definitely like a master of rhythm, a master of rhyme. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Ridwan. Okay, so, also, if you have socials, drop them. I'm going to be better about asking about that. Yeah, if you want to connect with Ridwan, definitely look in the group chats. But now we have a dog. The only dog that we have signed up right now, a Doge. Very popular at the moment. I think everyone's getting like quarantine dogs. But this is my ex-roommate, Tori, also from Ohio. So we got a whole chain of Ohio starting us off. Love the energy. Midwest energy is the best kind of energy. I'm not like super solid on that, so do not fight me on that. Something about Tori is that she sings a lot, and so I remember like I've never really been like religious, but I used to go to church just to hear her sing. So y'all are in for a treat. And so just flagging that up next, we have Danielle, and on deck we have Aubrey. But for right now, put your paws together for Tori.
Hello? Can you guys hear me? Really? Oh.
Yes, we can. We can.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I turned you guys off so I don't see any. I know. So first I want to say thank you, Julie, for pushing me to do this. And I will appreciate this later. So yeah, I'm gonna in honor of APAHM, I'm gonna be singing a song in Chinese and Mandarin. I was born and raised in Taiwan for 16 years, so I'll be singing a song from she's actually indigenous Aborigines. So I feel like you guys all know Jay Chow and Wang Li Hong and like JJ Lin or something, right? But I feel like it's really, a lot of singers come from the indigenous people, the Aborigines. They really are. I listen to a lot of them, and I just want to, you know, push them out more, let people know about them more. And this is from, her name is Zhang Hui Mei. And actually, Jay Chow wrote this song for her to sing. So yeah, her name's Ame. She actually dated Wang Li Hong, just side, yeah. So let me know if I'm gonna test the audio, so let me know if you guys can hear it. Can you guys hear the music? Okay. Okay. 07年那一首定情曲的前奏，要是依然念念不忘，太不称头。早放任彼此好好过，都多久？你怎么像标本住在我心里头？后来的那几个又没做错什么？他们口中自私的我，犯了偷窃时间的错，复制贴上你的爱，也很精彩的你不甘寂寞。这圈子不太大，多少听说，欣赏你流浪，像是种信仰，我真这么想。再被你提起是连名带姓，换成是友谊，却疏远的可以。多少人爱我，偏放不下你，是公开的秘密，只是你没拆穿我。再出新几率，终究是不关己，哪来的勇气？我就是不灰心。我且爱且走，其实在等你，是仅有的默契。你会不会有错过？我没有把握。算不清多少个跨年也一起过，要是依然念念不忘，太不称头。早放任彼此好好过，都多久？你怎么想标本住在我心里头？后来的那几个又没做错什么？他们口中自私的我，犯了偷窃时间的错，复制贴上你的爱，也很精彩的你不甘寂寞。这圈子不太大，多少听说，欣赏你流亡，像是种信仰，我真这么想。 人海里，偏反复想你，是公开的秘密，只剩你没拆穿我。在出现几率，终究是不关心。原来的勇气，我就是不放心。我只爱现在，其实在等你，是最后的默契。要是我没有错过，就别再回头。Sorry, prompt ending.
I don't know why you didn't want to look at us and show us your bang. Okay? Like,
I don't want to look at you guys.
this is one of those. This is one of those that got the quarantine bang. So show everyone. Show it off. Show it off. That DIY quarantine bangs.
Yeah.
I need you to go and read the comments. I know you weren't watching them while you were singing, but honestly, stole everyone's heart. So you can think about it if you want to give it back. But and so where can we find you? I know you have a YouTube if you want to drop that as well.
Let me just type it.
Yeah, go ahead and type it into the chat. Thanks so much for sharing with us, Tori. Yeah, so you all see why I went to church even though I'm not even like religious. Flirt to convert. Okay, next up we have some more Midwest energy, but this person is not from Ohio. They're actually from Minnesota, a rabbit from Minnesota, which is really great. I think like we needed to diversify like and break up this Midwest energy. I feel like Minnesota is like yeah, it's like regionally like in the Midwest, but people there are just nicer. Maybe it's just the people that I know. It's just like always good energy. And even though it's always cold, people are just always like great from there. So yeah. So we have Danielle now, but up next we have Aubrey, and on deck we have Taemin. So Danielle, thank you so much for signing up. I will pass the mic to you.
Thank you so much for having me. Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. But yeah, so my name is Danielle Wong. I am a senior, RIP class of 2020 at the University of St. Thomas. And I wanted to sing a little bit for you and then also share a short poem that I wrote a couple years ago. Yeah, so my mom is Indonesian Chinese, and so I wanted to bring some of that Indo language for you all today. So this is a song called Berawal dari Tatap, which means at first glance, it's a song about kind of like someone always being there for you and like being your second half and being your better half. So I'll just sing like half of the song for you. Okay, let me pull up the lyrics. Oh God. Berawal dari tatap, indah senyummu memikat hatiku yang hampa lara. Senyum membawa tawa, tawa membawa cerita kasih indah tentang kita. Terkadang ku ragu, kadang tak percaya, tapi ku yakin kau milikku. Kau membuatku bahagia di saat hati ini terluka. Kau membuatku tertawa di saat hati ini terbawa oleh cintamu untukku, untuk kita. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the song there. Thanks everyone. Okay, so now, wow, my hands are like numb, sorry. I'm gonna do my poem. So this poem is called The Accent from Her Tongue, and it's a poem about kind of like my mom being, what is it called, made fun of because of her accent. Yeah. When I was growing up, my mama prided herself in bringing me the best, fresh, home-cooked meals. Sometimes when she would join me, she would snap photos to send to family across the seas. I remember one day when a boy turned to his friend and began mocking my mama for her accent, seemingly hell-bent on making her feel ashamed of how her tongue cradled this foreign language she had claimed, and this boy dared to turn to my mom and me and say, "Hey, you have your mom's accent too." Well, boy, let me tell you, the accent from her tongue tells a story of the 9,456 miles she traveled from Surabaya, Indonesia to Eau Claire, Wisconsin. She sacrificed sate, sarongs, and selamat pagis for a land of football, white people, and where are you really from? Please. The accent from her tongue tells a story of the 7 weeks she endured radiation therapy, they said, when in reality, her ability to speak, eat, drink, and breathe were burned from her throat. See, the accent from her tongue tells a story of the 4-foot-long tubes she sticks down her throat just to have what we take for granted. Granted, I'm just being candid, but isn't the idea of an accent something we created in the interest of the white 1%? We, the underrepresented minority, embrace the accents passed down from our mamas, because part of our identity is found in our history, her story, their story, my story. When my mama speaks, I listen, not because she's meek, not because she's hard to understand, but because in her voice and her tongue are stories of trial and tribulation strung together from since she was young. My mother is a warrior, so I am honored to inherit the accent from her tongue. Thanks.
Oh my gosh, on different levels, once again, knocking the soul out of all of us. Thank you so much for sharing, Danielle.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah. In the chat, like, you should definitely look at the messages. We're all fangirling out here. And I do think that, you know, you represented your mom's strength and energy, like, very well. I think we all felt that. So thank you so much once again for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. So now we have a monkey. I don't think we had a monkey already, but this monkey is from the West Coast. He's from California. West Coast is an okay ghost, but I guess you can, like, fight me on that, all you West Coast people out here, because we just did a whole string of Midwest out here. I'm feeling the energy. I'm feeling pumped. I'm feeling represented. But not to bring along any bad vibes. Just for reference, up next is Taemin. On deck is Jahnavi, but right now we have Aubrey. We'll pass the mic to you. Oh, also, once again, sorry, I still haven't gotten used to this. Danielle, if you have social media, definitely drop it in the chat box so people can connect with you. Sorry, Aubrey. Now I am passing the mic to you.
No worries. Thank you for having me. Shout out to Joy for convincing me to sign up. It's been a while, and to be honest, I hadn't quite, I think I'm gonna go with 2 shorter poems instead of the longer one. I don't know, that one's a little more aggressive, but that's fine. So this is probably more poetry and less spoken words, so yeah. Also, they don't have titles because I'm really bad at titles. Lost in passion fruit embraces, sweetly sour, you and I, we are made of tropic heat. Slow burning ecstasy, sticky yearning for lands and people just beyond our reach. Our ancestors knew a different touch. Hazy sunshine slipping through green discs, veins dripping golden brown, down, brown necks, brown eyes. Do we find ourselves in, or is it through each other? Or is it just the reflection of my mother's land, a ghost in your eyes that draws me to you and leaves me wanting, sunshine sour taste, burning acid soft on my tongue? Okay, and then here's the second one. I guess I'm not gonna, yeah, so this one's a little bit more kind of about my struggle, like about speaking second languages, and like I'm not as fluent as I wanted. I actually like ended up relearning it in middle school, so now I have an accent. But yeah, okay. Also no title. What use is a writer whose words won't come? Instead, I am left laying in my bed, lying to myself, choking on all the syllables I can't pronounce. When laughter trickled like shame down your throat, made its home in your belly, sharpened its teeth on your embarrassment. What are poems to one who cannot force their tongue to shape the words my ancestors spoke with ease? My tongue, a foreigner stumbling in its own land, stiff and swollen with all of the things it longs to say. Connections truncated like memories, long stolen hours slipping between different lands, a sharp divide. How beautiful it is to have tongues and teeth that can pronounce two languages, one of home and one of here. I cannot tell you which is which.
Ooh.
Yeah, and do I have time for one more? It's a little simpy, but if not, that's totally cool because those are the ones I wanted to read.
Yeah, go for it.
This one, it's called Interspace. I wrote it, like Julie, I wrote it to submit to like a poetry journal and then just never got around to it. So, do you feel it? The empty space between my fingers where you held my heart through our palms, each beating drumbeat paper thin under nails and fingertips. Skin together, hands apart. Apart? You look at me and nerve endings spark through solitary confinement. I reach for the thought of you through space and time. Galaxies swirl in the emptiness of space, millions of cells rushing through a closed circuit, galvanized by a breath, layers and layers of sensation apart. How is it the space between us never falls away? Even though this, what I feel for you, could fill universes. Our stars spin triumphant. Two bodies in space, inhabit space. Where is our space? Do you feel it? I'm done.
Oh my gosh, I think we do. I don't know, I know that was rhetorical, but oh, chills. Oh, thank you so much, Aubrey, for sharing that with us. This is the first time I've met you, but I feel like I just want to meet all of you after this space. And I know we have more, so I'm gonna pause here. But definitely, if you have like socials that you want us to follow you on, if you're reading somewhere, drop it in the chat. We want to hear more of you. Thank you for sharing with us today. Taemin is next. Another ox. We've got a lot of them, and I'm not even mad because again, they were good for the rat. Anyway, there's a rumor also that Taemin is actually a burgeoning TikTok star, but don't quote me on that. But there's also a fact that Taemin is a legitimate community organizer, one of the most vibrant souls I know. I've had such the pleasure of like working with him this whole year and a little bit more, and energy is indescribable. I also feel like you might start an ASMR channel coming. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, and I'm just gonna give it to you, Taemin.
All right. Thank you, Miru and Julie, and happy APAHM to folks. Miru's been nudging me all week, so I'm going to be sharing a poem I wrote last week and wanted to give some context. So it's been interesting to me that like my grappling with my Asian Americanness in recent years has been largely about identity and advocacy and solidarity, while grappling with my Korean Americanness has been about like duty and filial piety, and the supposed incompatibility with my queerness and my transness. And then being part of the Korean diaspora is a whole nother thing that has me thinking a lot about war and interpersonal violence and patriarchy. So what I'm gonna be reading sits sort of at the intersection of this. It's day 4 of this challenge called Decolonize 30 for 30 that a couple friends told me about. I won't read the prompt exactly, but it had to do with tragedy, injustice, lineage, and reimagining the world. And so I was reflecting a little bit on the Gwangju Uprising of 1980, and then one of my brothers, who was a stillborn, and then a lot of other violences in my family, and almost wondering what could it existed or can exist in its absence. And so all of these things I found have been are bound to the periphery of personal and collective memory. And it's been such an unnameable grief, I think, to navigate. So this is one of my attempts. Content warning, I tangentially mention or allude to some of this violence, including domestic violence, but not graphically or in any way in any detail. On average, my cycle is 31 days, long enough to finish a gallon of milk alone, but I never do. Twice a laundry cycle, half a minute of memories, and enough rotten flesh down the drain to need unstopping gel. Today, I peer into the toilet bowl, stains painted over red, gravity pulling out the taste of ringing, and I think of my son, not the little Vietnamese boy who followed me like a shadow in the California light, but the screams of a raisinette child never broken. And then I return to the current of day 3 and think about cold murder, not 144 down, but thousands in the streets of Gwangju. I was born exactly 17 years after a cold day of tanks and mass artillery, relentless. To this day, I cannot fault my mother for our silences, for it is all we know. The grief and longing we were not allowed to name, still carved into the grooves of the cheek and chin bones I inherited. How thick and tangled are the things we've witnessed. I wanted to stop the bleeding, packed the grief so tightly that I renamed it intuition, a mother gone or a child missing, or thousands of unnamed bodies, or a burial of memory where the excavation 14 years later does not hurt any less. If the cycle ended before it began, there would still be dancing, and we'd play our drums as loud as my harmonies laugh, roaring through countryside, not falling on his knees. And maybe I'd have 2 grandmothers or less painful stories to hold, though I wouldn't mind those either. If there was no massacre, no US occupation, no violence against the woman's body or lost flower echoing to from woman, no metaphor good enough for a dead baby, no blood to embed itself into a sea of cloth fibers of skin and grief and unopened sky, if the excavation was penned or the soil was moist with stories of survival, or on the day that it poured, we all went outside anyways, ink blots smudged into the tenderness of uncoiled fist, or their discarded watermelon rinds found their morning, we would not be this afraid of silence. If I were to drink a glass of porcelain daily, perhaps on the 31st day, the memories would collate into something woven and soft of how we came away from it anyways, unstolen. Thank you.
Ooh. Taemin, thank you. I feel it's deep grief, and I really appreciate you sharing this with us. If you look at the comments, I think we're all breathless and holding up those squeaks for you. Thank you so much for that. I am going to move on to another ox. Jahnavi, a Taurus, a double ox. So that's like double trouble, which makes sense because she is a big romantic. I feel like I'm always in trouble with her in the best kind of way. She's the kind of cook who just says just a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I only make the best soup with her. So coming out of quarantine, I will be very happy to cook stew with you, Jahnavi. And without further ado, I'm gonna pass it to you. And actually there is some due. Jan, you're up next. And Taemin, if you want to drop any of your socials in the chat for folks to follow you, your learning, everything, please put it down there. All right, love y'all. See you, Jahnavi.
Hi, can everyone hear me? Okay, cool. So I was gonna start, I feel kind of chaotic because I'm trying to fit a lot of things into like a small amount of time because this is a really exciting event and all of y'all are so cool. So I wanted to start by saying that I've been making art, and it is for sale / like people can get it. Wow, that's, yeah. Okay, so I made some earrings. They're all, you can like buy them, but instead of paying what you would usually pay me for a pair of earrings, I'm asking people to send to whatever like mutual aid fund or like community support that you're feeling like strongly about right now. So yeah, these are some earrings that I spent a really long time doing a photo shoot with. It was kind of fun. And then also I did a series of like Matisse prints, but I can't find out how to make them do now. Oh, here. I made like Matisse's like blue nudes, except I made them kind of chubby and like gave them curly hair because I'm kind of chubby and have curly hair. And so, yeah, I think that my Instagram is at the bottom of this. I tried really hard to make this look professional, but whatever. I did this like 5 minutes ago. So yeah, feel free to DM me and yeah. Okay, how do I stop sharing my pause share? Oh no, stop. Oh no, I'm sorry.
Wait, okay, I have the same problem. It's at the top, I think. Like at the top. I don't know if your video is covering it. Okay.
Huh. Okay, nice. Okay. I'm also gonna like read like 5 seconds of a poem that I wrote, and then I was gonna sing a song. Thank you all for your patience. I wrote this poem because I was kind of spiraling, thinking about how the future doesn't exist anymore, and so I just wanted to remind myself that it did. So, yeah. We'll remember that the entire earth is full of color, a clementine that we can peel and eat in bites filled with juice. Hand a piece to the person sitting across from us. Even if we do not know them, maybe we will someday. We have stayed inside because we love each other, but we have to love each other the way that we were meant to, loudly, making a bit of a mess while we do it. Filled with pleasure, in conversation with strangers, and with our lovers in the feeling of our skin on each other's, hands exploring each other's bodies like it's earth we've never felt before. There's so many clementines. We do not have to stop at 1 or 3 or 5. The whole world will be full of the warm orange that kept us going when we were inside. So on that, I am wearing this color of orange because I've just been really feeling it. And there's this artist named Lian Lahavas who sang the song for like Colors, which is this like production something, I don't even know, but anyway, her whole like thing was this color of like tangerine, so I'm going to sing it. Okay, let me figure out how. I'm also in my garage because I'm in my parents' house right now, in case anyone was wondering about the weird background. Okay. Can everyone hear the music? Please stop asking, do you still love me? Don't have much to say. Let's speak in the morning. Please don't do this. I'm too far away. Don't know what to tell you, babe. No more hanging around. Oh, no more hanging around. Oh, now my phone's going down. Oh, you're telling me something isn't right. Oh, bittersweet summer. I'm born again. All my broken pieces, bittersweet summer rain. I'm born again. Oh, no more hanging around. Oh, no more hanging around. Oh, my sun's going down. Oh, You're telling me something isn't right. Oh, slept all Friday and couldn't get through. If we're good tomorrow, does that make it true? Not completely. We're picking that fight every day. This shit's going nowhere, babe. Bittersweet summer rain. I'm born again. All my broken pieces. Bittersweet summer rain. I'm born again. Oh, no more hanging around. Oh, no more hanging around. Oh, my sun's going down. Oh, tell me something is right. Sweet summer, I'm born again.
Oh, Jahnavi.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was absolutely mesmerizing. I think all of us are just, our hearts are swaying with you, our squeaks are swaying with you. Oh my God. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Squeaky clean vibes to someone. And again, please, yes, drop your Instagram from your very professionally made PowerPoint in the chat so that folks can check your stuff out. Those graphics were, those earrings were beautiful, everything's beautiful. And without further ado, we're going to move on to our last formal performer. We're actually gonna have a treat after Ariane. And so Jan, I'm gonna invite you down, and then I'm speaking as if we have a stage, but that's fine. Jan is from sunny California, and we're gonna be like, I guess like technically ending the night of this mischief with this filmmaker, singer, songwriter, Instagram, hilarious, human. And I'm just gonna indulge for one moment. Jan and I met in Japan on a trip. I wasn't really planning on making any friends. I made two and a half. One of them I kind of knew already. And Jan was one of them. And I've just felt so blessed that we continue being in each other's lives. There's always been a third wheel in our relationship, and that's this guy. I'm gonna just drop his name in chat. Victoire Cheval Blanc Mario III, the mascot of the city that we did a homestay in. Very bizarre. If you want the full story, just DM me. It's strange, it's weird, it's quirky, it's lovely, it's bonded us for life, I would say, Jan. Yes, I know. I looked his name up specifically for the purpose of indulging in this little story. Anyway, I'm giving it to you, and I think it's only fitting that we're finishing this off with a fellow rat the way it should be. Let's bring the luck back. All right, give it to you.
Hello, everybody. Here I'm screaming. Him. I'm gonna try and do what Robin did at the top of all this, which is share just audio, and if that doesn't work, then I'm gonna play the song acoustically. This is just I'm just gonna sing one song. Yes. Just gonna sing one song. It's the most recent song I wrote and produced. So let me see if I can do this. I looked it up, I Googled it, and okay. Hold on one second. It's making me type in a password. Oh my God. Okay. Tell me if you can hear this. Can you hear me over it? Okay, awesome. Thank you, everybody. Is that too loud? Is that okay? I'm just leave it there. You gotta let me in. If we're gonna play this game, could you just play to win? You gotta let me see. Let me feel what you feel, baby. You don't wanna be, baby. Competition, and you love me like a combination. Don't tell me my arms like from all the compression. It's over, over. Go to light, even when we get scarred. Oh my God, sweet choice. That's all. Thank you. Please don't start playing again. Okay. That's it. Yeah, that's all I got. Thank you, everybody. Ah, you're so nice.
Oh my God. Wow, we are all just so blessed. I'm gonna pass it off to Julie. But like, please drop your Spotify and everything that we can follow you. Like this, oh, I'm like overwhelmed in all the best way. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I usually don't, like, when I'm sober, I usually don't just start, like, dancing unless it's intentional, but this really, like, got the vibes, brought the party to me. Love it. Definitely drop all your information. I want to add you to my playlist for sure. So thank you so much for sharing. And so I know we are at 10:20 right now. There are still 47 people on the call. And so I figured that, you know, we have room for one more. We have someone on the wait list, and it is Chris. Chris spoke earlier after the intermission about Luya poetry. But like I said, Chris is an amazing poet herself. Chris, I don't know your zodiac animal, so you should share that. But yeah, without further ado, I'd like to pass the mic.
Wow, okay. Thanks for making room for me. Also, folks, I know that if you have other things to do, like, you don't have to stick around for this. Zodiac, and I use she, her, hers pronouns. My zodiac animal is monkey. And my, like, Western astrology is Scorpio sun, Sag rising, Aquarius moon. Yeah, so one thing I forgot to mention about Luya is that we will be launching an anthology for Asian Pacific Islander Desi American poets in the month of May. You can submit online. Submitting is free. We will do all of our editing and review in June, and hopefully we'll launch online on our website by mid to late June. So submit, please. I want emerging poets. I want non-traditional poets. I like fuck the Poetry Foundation and Ivory Tower spaces. Like poetry should be for the people. Anyways, so I have some poems. The first one is called A Sestina for My Mother Tongue. I teach you my language. Tadhana is the word for fate. I tell you it is the name of a song, my favorite one. I lift it from lyrics that don't belong in my mouth to polish it and place it on an altar. I don't know the word for altar, but I know prayer in my language. Panalangin swirls languid in my mouth and never reaches my hands. I know the word only from memorizing the lyrics of a Tagalog love song. Sing me into a Filipino song. Your kanta should conjure an altar overflowing with offerings, soft lyrics. Awitin mo in my language until I've become a familiar word that swirls in your strange mouth. Shapeshift the tongue in your mouth until your Tagalog sounds like a song, a private harana in every word, every sentence a new altar. To honor the music of my language, sacrifice your own lyrics. I teach you new lyrics. They sound painful in your mouth. Sakit is what we say in my language for the way you butcher our song on a sterile English altar. Tadhana is just a word. Tandaan is the word for remember. Alala ko in lyrics. I collect Tagalog for my altar from the muscle memory of my mouth. I teach myself my language from the scraps I gather in song. You cannot approach the altar without knowing my language. Your mouth scrapes over every Tagalog word. When you forget the lyrics, I remember I am a foreign song. So that's that piece. And if for the poets on this call, if y'all have not tried to write a sestina before, please check out that poetry form. This was so much fun to write, and it's actually really cool to have like such strict rules sometimes when you write, because it like pushes you to be creative. Anyway, that's my teaching artist 2 cents. This other poem is also new. It's called Kitchen Notes. Just wanted to do a quick content warning for sexual references, food, marriage relationships. How long does the scent of garlic cling? Later, when my lover puts my fingers in his steaming mouth, will they still carry the kitchen with them? They say the proof is in the pudding, so I make it. The proof is in the first bite, the last swallow, the pretty yellow gold of the custard that makes its graceful chassé down your chin. I'm trying to remember my father praising my mother for something other than her cooking. My mother is a goddess until the plates are clean. I make pasta to apologize. According to the notes from my mother, carbonara must be made carefully. Otherwise, you end up with scrambled eggs. So my eggs are perfect. My lover swallows and smiles and smiles and swallows, and I trade his cold shoulder for a warm mouth. I watch him go back for seconds and never question that I am the one to blame. Domesticity looks good on me, slaps my ass, pulls on my taut nipples, leads me to the bedroom by the chef's knife. Everything I make is delicious. I polish off the praise, how I love to say thank you, thank you. I learned to make biko and ragu and chickpea curry. I learned to make sinigang from scratch. From the lemons I have, I make do. I learned to make the ginger sing against the garlic cloves I crush with the flat of the knife. I make red curries and kimchi stews and bone broth soups. I roll out my own pie crust and pack it with all the warmth I can coax out of an apple. I learn to be a goddess, a trophy, a compensation for my round form, my loud mouth. I learn to arch my back and say please. I learn not to answer because he doesn't teach me to ask. I consider learning how to bake bread, how to make an onion galette, how to prepare oxtail, how to ferment my own tea, how to anticipate a need. How many courses would it take to fill a master's degree? My mother taught me to slice off the end of the clove first, then press down with the knife to ease it out of its skin. So that's that. I have one more if we have time. Is that okay? I see Julie nodding. Okay, cool. So this poem, I am, since February, I've been like a full-time organizer, but before that I was doing a lot of like cultural work and community organizing work here in Chicago. I work for Asian Americans Advancing Justice Chicago, BT Dubs. If anybody wants to talk about what it's like to be a paid organizer and how that's different from volunteering and the weirdness of it, hit me up. But yeah, I wrote this after looking at a bunch of fact sheets about what to do if ICE runs up on your door. So this poem is called Know Your Rights When ICE Comes to Your Door. Content warning, ICE, immigration, fuck the police. They will come to your door in broad daylight because they can. When the sun is high and shining and Chicago summer feels like it will never end, they will wait in the street. They will knock. Even if your conviction is yellowing with age and you have already repented for the sins America has stitched into your skin, they will ask who is home. Even if you have proof, a stamp, a slip of paper that says you have permission to reside on this soil permanently, they will lie. Pretend to be police officers, say they just need some help with an ongoing investigation. They will say they have a warrant, even if all you can be guilty of is existing without the proper government permissions. They will lie. The warrant isn't signed by a judge. They break down the door anyway. They will say that you will see your child again. They will take you to a detention center. They don't like to call them prisons. They don't want us to make the connection. They build different pipelines that lead to the same destination. They are afraid we will figure it out. They'll start a war in your country that your kids will never learn about in school. They will lie about why you came here and never answer for the chaos they caused to push you out. When the tired, poor, the huddled masses wash up on American shores, they will lie. They will call you thieves, threats to their livelihood, terrorists to the American dream. You have the right to remain silent. They will use anything you say against you, dredge your paper trails for poltergeists, misdemeanors, missing signatures, and misfiled forms. They will lie. They will find ghosts and call their actions a necessary exorcism. You do not have the right to an attorney. They will not provide one for you. They will keep us underrepresented, as always. They will come for us in broad daylight. They will knock on our doors and they will ask who is home. They will say whatever they need to. They will lie. We have the right to remain silent, to say nothing when they ask who is home, to leave the door unopened, to question, to say we will not sign our lives away. We have the right to remain angry, to be loud, to march in the streets, to dream. We have the right to be tired, to be poor, to huddle en masse and demand to breathe free. Thanks, y'all.
Oh my God, Chris, I feel like after all of your poems, then I finally breathed out. I was holding my breath the entire time, and I'm watching the video too, and I think folks are the same way. Oh my God, I'm so glad that you decided to sign up and that you were able to speak, because wow. And I think especially with the ICE poem, there's just so much shit going on right now, and just, things you can say the sky is purple and then people will get away with it, and I think definitely being able to speak truth through poetry is so important and so refreshing to hear, to hear the truth for once instead of listening to lies that we're being fed. And so yeah, that's all the poets that we have. That's all the performers and artists. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your talent with us, spending Friday night together. Happy APAHM. This is Miru and I really wanted to kick off APAHM with something with community, and that's not something that we can do while quarantined necessarily. So just bringing the party to you at home. And yeah, I'm really happy. There's still 45 people here, and it's 10:30 EST. So I know that's different times depending on what time zone you're at. But so from here on, I will say, and I will speak for myself, I'm nocturnal now. I come alive at night. And so I am totally willing to stay on this call and just chat with people. There's a lot of old friends on this call. There's a lot of new friends, people I haven't spoken to, people who I, grew up with. And I would love to open up the space for people to unmute their mics and just talk and get to know each other, because once again, you won't really be meeting new people through quarantine, at least probably not face to face, not many chances to do so. So yeah, definitely feel free, if you have to call it a night, feel free, but if you would like, you can unmute, we can catch up, we can meet people. And yeah, thank you so much once again. Oh, Chris, also, if you want to post like the link to what Luya is doing in the event page, that would be really great because people will see that. And then maybe we could start also like a social media thread in the event group itself, just in case you didn't catch it in the chat, because I know we were all like reacting through text. But yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you also. This has been the first open mic that Julie and I have ever hosted. So I don't know, it's just such a blessing, I feel like. We also want to know if folks would like this, something like this again, interesting people, if there's, yeah, and so can't promise anything, but I think it's what we would want to know. And so yeah, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, if you want to do more, we'll do more, you know, we're Gemini rats, anything can happen, or not, you know, or
yeah.
So yay.
Yeah.
Chaotic poetry for solidarity. We're all chaos, even the quiet ones.
Yo, Julie and Miru, thanks for hosting though. Like, thanks for creating the space.
Thanks for being here.